Sup, everybody? It is Friday. Thank goodness it is Friday, right? But more importantly than that, let's make you some money, right? It's week 12. We're almost towards the end of the season. A couple teams could really use your bets. They could use the money line. They could use an over-under. They could use all the things that are going to make you a little bit richer, right? We're going to talk about your favorite teams of the ACC and where they'll fall. More important than that, where are the upsets that can make you a little extra cash when it's all said and done? Let's talk about it on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper. Thanks so much for joining me today. With me is Drizzy Drake from Locked On Seminoles podcast. And listen, today's episode is brought to you by Underdog. Sign up today on UnderdogFantasy.com with the promo code Locked On. That's LOCKEDON, and get your first deposit doubled for up to $100. A lot going on here in week 12 of ACC football. It's almost towards the end. I cannot believe it. I'm super sad about it, but we still want to make you some money. I know people have lost some things, and maybe it's time right now to get it on back. Let's get some rejuvenation in the wallets when it's all said and done. Drizzy Drake, how we feeling?
We're feeling good, Candace, because thank God it is Friday. We're going to be able to relax a little bit. And also, I'll be actually up in Baltimore starting next Thursday. I'm going to be up there for a wedding, and I'm going to be over there with my fiance. It's going to be a good time just gallivanting around Charm City for a little bit.
Thanksgiving wedding?
Yep, Thanksgiving wedding. It'll be it's going to be on Saturday. It's going to be on Saturday. He didn't go to a bigger school, so he doesn't understand how much of a faux pas it is to have a wedding in the middle of football season, but for Cole Luthi, I understand loving my guy. I went to law school with him. I can't, hey, every Thanksgiving in Baltimore, that's where I went to his house. I love his family. Like my second family to me.
Love it. And, it's kind of crazy to have a wedding during rivalry week, but,
don't get me started.
Okay.
Don't get me started. That's UF Florida State. That's my damn game, bro.
Is the wedding during the UF Florida State game? Is the same time? Or will you be able to watch it earlier?
I'll be able to watch it the day before because actually, thankfully, it's going to be on Black Friday. It's going to be the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Love that for you. So you get to have all the emotions and you can get keep the energy high because Florida State's going to pick up the dub and all that. But before we get to week 13, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Week 12 is going to have a great slate of games, and you just happen to start out the week. Louisiana, Florida State matchup. The Noles get their little senior night going on here. Is it senior night? I'm assuming it's senior.
I believe so.
Wonderful. 7-3. They're having quite the season. Jordan Travis is saying, I'm making a fool out of you, big dog. And here we go. Noles trying to find themselves in a good bowl when this is all said and done. So from a money perspective, I put my money on Florida State. I'm feeling good about them these days.
Oh, yeah. I think Florida State, you typically with the line 24 points, that's that's basically almost 4 scores. But this is a Louisiana Lafayette team that was formerly head coached by Billy Napier. He left to Florida and took a lot of the bigger pieces with him, along with Montreal Jordan, their number 1 running back, and also with Osiris Torrance, who probably might be one of the best offensive linemen in the SEC. So, when you see they're depleted, they're, I think, bottom 25 in the country in red zone defense. They're bottom 15 when it comes to offense. This is a very, very, hampered and limited Louisiana Lafayette team. It's a Florida State team that is now fully healthy, and quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's something similar to what we saw against Georgia Tech, or as also with the defense. They haven't let up an offensive score in 2 straight games, with Miami only scoring on a field goal, and the same thing with Syracuse. So to me, this is a game where Florida State minus 24, and also take the under 51.5 because I would probably only see maybe a single touchdown being scored by Louisiana Lafayette.
And from someone who's covered this team for quite some time now, is it nice to see the progress towards the end of the season and getting you excited for next, and maybe having a little more trust in Norvell and the boys?
It's about goddamn time.
Listen, didn't I tell you I don't like to edit the show?
I know. My apologies for that. That wasn't that bad. As a Catholic man, my Lord, I am sorry. But no, you're right, though. It's about damn time that we actually be able to point to something, because Norvell had only won 8 games in 2 seasons. And then also with Jordan Travis, a lot of people saw the progress he made last season, but I was probably one of the louder people saying that I didn't think he actually would be able to be a top 25 or even top 30 QB. And this season, he actually hasn't run that much at all. He's actually shown that he's fully capable to be a true pocket passer. and he's made me and my fat dumb self look very, very actually dumb overall on this program. And this is a team where there's going to be questions being asked like who's coming back, who's going to be staying, who's going to be leaving. If Jordan Travis comes back next season, I fully expect him to be one of those probably those sleeping giants when it comes to Heisman contenders races. If Drake May, is able to slow down a little bit, because Drake May right now is probably the best quarterback in the country.
Well, there's that. It's already a preseason ACC Player of the Year going to Drake May. But more than that, Jordan Travis in the Heisman conversation, we have joked about it for long enough. But maybe my jokes are ringing true. Maybe I am just one who clearly speaks things into existence, whether it's good or bad, and let it roll. So,
Duke
Jordan,
football.
you're welcome. Thank you. I haven't had any Seminoles fans in my mentions in a long time. And those are the people that were hardest on me when he stunk. So I'm like, when he's actually doing well, where y'all at? I don't know. But remains to be seen. I'm going to be fine with it. As long as he's doing well, that's good for me. Jordan Travis for Heisman. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Florida State is going to get the big dub. And then you move on to Virginia Tech and Liberty. Virginia Tech team who is desperate, my Lord, desperate for a win. They want more than 2 to end their season. They know that, the Virginia game might be in jeopardy, but this could be the last one for them. How are we feeling about Liberty?
So I think AJ put it perfectly. Like,
Yeah.
you lose to UConn, that's a really bad look. That's also worse coming from AJ because Boston College did lose to UConn, and we took UConn to win on the show, both you and I. This is a Virginia Tech team that I've already talked to ad nauseum that I do not trust their offense or Pastor Drake coming on. I have no faith in the man under center. It's just the first season right now. It's a rebuilding year, or at least we're figuring out not even rebuilding, like finding which pieces to start the rebuild for next season. Liberty is a very solid team, and also Hugh Freeze is potentially up for actually a Power 5 job moving forward. He's still in discussions, I believe right now with Auburn University. So to me, this is a game where he lost last week to UConn. You need to show up. You need to win this game. You're actually also at home. Liberty to me -10. I think it's a solid play. I know Virginia Tech is much more talented. That's a very correct take for that. But to me, has Virginia Tech shown you anything at all this year to the where they deserve?
Yes. When they played NC State, they were actually doing well because we saw them go up to 21 points. You said, okay, well, nobody's going to get back in this game. And then they pissed down their leg, and it was like, all right, I reminded that they're in their first year. They don't know how to handle success yet. So if anything, that taught me you guys just are not familiar with things going your way because it hasn't gone that way this season. But there's still time to understand that you guys are supposed to be winners. Boston College figured out how to do it at NC State. So I feel like Virginia Tech has pieces. They just have to remain confident and also not get ahead of themselves. It's a whole 60 minutes of play for a reason.
I mean, that's a very fair point. And we did take Virginia Tech to cover actually against NC State. Kudos to us. But also Virginia Tech is I'll give you a stat real quick and then we'll kind of end it on that. Virginia Tech is 2-12 against the spread in their last 14 non-conference games. So yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to be a Hokie, but y'all have to have the faith. Listen, just have the faith that we can see this through and, all the good things. But I agree. I think Liberty, honestly, they want to look back a little bit harder after that upset last weekend. So hate to be them. Now let's go on to Duke and Pitt, a one that sort of feels like a toss-up. We talked to Alex Donald yesterday. He didn't really give confirmation on who he sides with. Playing in Pittsburgh is certainly a slight advantage, but the Blue Devils are having a nice season, and they have a very mobile quarterback in Riley Leonard. And at the end of the day, Pittsburgh's going to have to figure out how to stop him.
I completely agree with that. And this is where a game where it's like, I think the wrong team is favored here. I personally have been kind of going against the grain when it comes to Pitt because I was a Keaton Slovis believer heading into the season, and slowly has it gone down the way? Nope, not me overall. But also, I think you guys touched on about it the entire week, where Mike Elko has done a tremendous job with that Duke program, and I think AJ again said it basically best, where it's like they don't have one true star caliber or 5-star talent on the team. It's collectively as a unit, offensively, kind of defensively. I think they're still trying to get a work in progress there, but that they're able to get to a common goal. And to me, with Duke plus 7.5. I think that's a great play. I know it's away, but I also don't think that Pat Narduzzi right now understands where he complained at AC Media Days that I don't know why we're throwing the ball so much. I'm like, one, yeah, Kenny Pickett. You also have Jordan Addison. We need to run the damn ball more. Granted, he has Izzy Abanaconda, who, yes, feed my man, but you also should free my man because right now that Pittsburgh offense it's limited basically being how stubborn he is when it comes to offensive and scheme calling.
Hello, somebody. I think this is going to come down to a field goal, not a touchdown, but that's just me. We've seen enough Pittsburgh offense these days, and Pitt and Duke game is always crazy, right? It always comes down to 3 points or less, or is either a blowout. Like who knows what the weather is going to be like? There's so many factors and all the good things, but I definitely feel like this is going to be a tricky one when it's all said and done. All right, let's talk about a couple more games here in terms of the best bets around week 12 of the ACC. But first, I want to talk about this, fellas. Listen, I got something for you. Testofen might be the thing for you if you try this Nugenix. If you want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging, Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen will help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, and get you better results at the gym and help you look and feel like the man you really want to be. Nugenix Total T contains man-boosting key ingredients like testofen. It has been validated in 5 clinical studies shown to boost free testosterone levels in men. Nugenix Total T is the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC, and Nugenix Total T can help re-energize your life and help you get back the powerful, confident, and good-looking warrior you used to be. Now get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text college to 231-231. Again, text now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free, by texting college 231-231. Drizzy Drake, I'm just telling you, trying to get right for your wedding.
I got to, man. Trust me. Listen, I'm waiting for that to come in because your boy got slimmed down a little bit. I was looking at photos back in college, like, damn, Andres ate Drake. I need how you need to get on.
And there's this trend on Instagram. I was like, show yourself 2 years ago. I was like, do we need to? We don't really have to. Or show yourself like back when you get 2 years bad luck. And I'm like, either I look at the pictures from when I was like fine, or I look at the pictures where I like was in the pandemic and I was like hurting. And I'm ready to get to that place of like a happy medium, right? Because I ain't trying to be skinny, because ain't nobody trying to eat rabbit food the rest of their life.
No, I ain't going back to the 2-a-days I used to do, and then eating like really clean, really healthy. Man, I live in South Florida again now. I love getting a pastelito, getting a coqueta. No. I ain't going back to the lifestyle being just eating like grass until literally midnight. Come on now. No, I ain't got time for that.
100%. I'm so looking forward to Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday. I eat without guilt. It's just, I'm ready for that opportunity. Speaking of good guilt-free eating, somebody tried to eat over there in Boston College. They are trying to travel to Notre Dame, South Bend, and get a dub from a very good, halfway decent Notre Dame team. Boston College dealing with a couple of sicknesses with the flu and all the fun stuff that goes around. It could be the flu, it could be COVID. Who knows these days? We don't talk about COVID anymore. It doesn't exist. But needless to say, the 7-3 Notre Dame team, crazier things have happened. We've seen Boston College upset good teams.
They have. And like, well, was NC State a good team though? Was the current I guess composition of the NC State actually a good team when Boston College played them?
Please. I really don't want to have to hear. I hear Kenton yelling at us right now as we speak. I hear Tim Beck's name. I'm having PTSD.
I was. I felt like. Yeah, don't leave them in the same room. I think just be for safety reasons. But overall, I think I actually would take Boston College to cover a 21-point spread, because that's a lot of damn points for a Notre Dame team that I think you put it best. They're not great. They're somewhat good. It's weird. I think they're but they're really well coached with Marcus Freeman and also with Tommy Rees offensively. But when you put into play how many players are out with the flu, which is already an offensive line that's down to like 2 preferred walk-ons and everyone's hurt, basically. I mean, Emmett Morehead is playing better than Phil Dracovic was actually behind the line of scrimmage. So to me, with this, I would steer clear of this. I wouldn't take points all period. I probably would take the under 43, because Notre Dame's defense is still their calling card. Marcus Freeman was one of the best defensive coordinators in the entire nation before he became the head coach actually over there. So to me, take the under here. It's not going to be a fun game. It's going to be in South Bend, which is a very difficult place to play. It's also going to be extremely cold, which Boston College should be used to, but Midwest cold and Massachusetts cold are 2 different kinds of cold.
Okay. T's and P's to Morehead, because I just hope he does not get eaten up every single play. Like, if we're trying to do like specific bets for how many sacks he's going to take, listen, honey, he might take at least 4. At
Just fall.
least.
Just fall. Just go down on the ground. Do the Tom Brady. Like, I'm too old for this. I'm just gonna go down. I know where I no. If it comes to that.
1,000%. All right, next game. Miami taking on Clemson. Number 9, Clemson, 9-1 season so far. Looking for their 10th win. And boy, oh boy, if there ever was a time to just keep things moving, keep the progress going, because statistically there's still a chance they could find themselves in the college football playoff, but they've got to have a dominant performance against these very bad Hurricanes.
This is a very, very bad Hurricanes team. But I will say that they did show up against a very, very bad opponent last week in Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Jakari Brown, actually. That dude actually is a gamer, and that kind of leads me to believe that you heard heading into the FSU game that Josh Gass wanted Tyler Van Dyke, Jake Garcia, and Jakari Brown to basically have them like just share the number 1 team reps. I would love to see that game again, actually, if Jakari Brown had the majority of those reps, because he's going to be starting for a second week in a row, and because he gives them the best option to win, along with Jalen Knight in the backfield, because he's very a dynamic player with his legs. That being said, with Clemson 19 points at home, okay, so on top of your head, like, what's the last dominant game that Clemson actually had this season? If we're being honest.
Man, let's run it back, because I don't think that there's been one that they haven't had to like figure it out for, because they played Louisville, which wasn't if Malik Cunningham hadn't gotten hurt, I don't think that would have been the same game. Mm-hmm. Syracuse game was close. Florida State, Boston College, that was probably the most dominant one.
Boston College 31-3, but also Boston. I will rag on Miami fans and Miami as a program, but they're not as bad as the Boston College team that we're seeing right now. So the last probably dominant game they probably had was maybe the Louisiana Tech game.
Maybe
1,000 weeks ago.
Furman.
Furman. I mean, Furman was 35-12. Actually, they scored more points than Boston College.
Yeah.
So overall, like, you see 20 points. And as much as we've made money betting against Miami for the entire season, I really do think they might actually give them some, not fits. I think Clemson still wins this game probably by 14 to 17 points, but the number we have to cover is 19. And I think Jakari Brown with those legs could actually do a little bit something. And also, DJU and Kate Klubnik, I don't think it matters who is right now behind center with Clemson, because that offense right now is sputtering. So let's take Miami a plus 19, and Miami, if you embarrass me again,
listen, there will never ever believing you on this Friday show ever again. I feel it.
You feel it. Exactly.
All right. Let's get to probably one of the best games of the weekend. Note, they're trying again. NC State and Louisville will face off. The Wolfpack are looking to pick up their face. Louisville wants to figure out, listen, if they can't play with Malik, can the next man up do their thing with demand, whatever we want to call him, the quarterback being under center? All I'm saying is somebody got to look better than what we've seen so far this season. Like, end on a high. Somebody needs a good win. Yes, they're going bowling, but damn it, if you don't want to go to Bumble, jerk Kentucky, to play the KFC Bowl.
I mean, that's right next to their stadium, so it wouldn't be that long of a trip. But no, I mean, like, so Brock, I don't know how to pronounce his last name either. I think it's Doman, but I think Demand is better. Like Brock Demand Doman, that's a pretty sweet nickname, NIL deal right there. But I think that we saw that, folks. I want to apologize for giving you Louisville to cover last week. I did not know that Blake Cunningham was going to be that hurt, and now it shows how much of a fraud Scott Satterfield is when he does not have a really, really good QB. But with that being said, State also kind of basically embarrassed us a little bit last week. We told him Jay Morris, and he was nothing but him last week.
On senior night, no less. But it's not his fault, because Thayer Thomas is still on the team. I don't know if he's hurt or whatever we got going. I know Devin Carter didn't play, but God, Jordan Houston couldn't do everything.
No, he couldn't. But so to me, with this game, I think it comes down to basically how you feel about these defenses. NC State's got a very good defense. Louisville, sneakily, their defense it's decent, but also they create turnovers, and they're very luck based. But the thing is, though, when you see the kind of pattern, it doesn't translate from year to year. It typically stays within the year. And I'm going to ride with Louisville again with this game, because I hate to do it, but I do think that basically what we saw, it's away. It's actually at Louisville. Louisville kind of wants to end off on a higher note, also help out with recruiting too as well, because you kind of want to solidify Scott Satterfield to be there just a little bit longer. Maybe Malik also could come back for one last season. And to me, also, another, stat here, NC State is 1-6 against the spread in their last 6-7 games overall. We've been betting against them a lot too. We've made a lot of money doing that kind of theory.
1,000%. Honestly, I want NC State to win because I don't want them to be pissed off 2 times over going into the North Carolina game. Like that would just stress me out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really kind of rooting for the Pack in this one. But it's -4.5. So
yeah, it's -4. So it's kind of like it's going to be a close game. So NC State's the underdog at +4. So to me, it's like it's take the 4 and take the over 45 because I do think there's going to be some points probably scored in this game and probably be some defensive scoring. To be honest with you,
that's very, very brave of you because NC State struggles with that scoring thing. They not the best. As I remind you guys, Coastal Carolina and Virginia game will not take place. But, Drake, if you want to give any thoughts, Alex Dono gave his thoughts on the Virginia situation. So if you want to give your T's and P's, feel free. If not, we can keep on rolling.
No, just thoughts and prayers. Like I can never imagine going through that. Losing a brother, losing a friend, losing a son. It's really sad. And hopefully for all parties involved, they able to move past this. And all love from Locked On Seminoles, Locked On ACC, Locked On Network are here with you guys.
Absolutely. And for the surviving young man who is still recovering, our thoughts and prayers to him. Seeing his mom speak on ESPN was literally, I tried not to cry. Didn't work very well. No, I cried. Did not work very well. I was, like ugly in the club crying. I am just hoping that they can find some sort of peace. And like when he goes through his recovery and all the things, we can just certainly extend our arms and hearts out to them as much as we can. Now, talking about Georgia Tech and North Carolina in just a bit, but want to remind you guys that this episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to spice up college football season. Listen, I am going to really hope that Drake May continues on his Heisman campaign in terror, and he is going to have higher than 271.5 passing yards against Georgia Tech. And, listen, at the end of the day, all he can do is his best. And so I'm rooting for my boy Drake. I think he should be the Heisman candidate, and that's what that is. Easy to play and available in over 30 states. Underdog Fantasy helps you just pick between 2 and 5 players across any team, not just your team, and decide if they will finish higher or lower. One of the easiest fantasy to play games out there, and you can win cold hard cash in a single game. Sign up with promo code LOCKEDON, one word, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Deposit $100, get $100 free. There it is. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or find the Underdog Fantasy app in your App Store or Google Play. That's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code Locked On. Get in on college football pick'em action today. So we're wrapping up today's show with Drizzy Drake of Locked On Seminoles podcast. Make sure you guys check him out, him and his crew each and every day. Georgia Tech and North Carolina are certainly going to do the damn thing. Last season, Georgia Tech punched North Carolina in that mouth, get put up 45 against them, I believe, if my memory recalls me correctly. Carolina needs that lick back. Currently at -3 touchdowns, they feel like. Mm-hmm. Georgia Tech's going to get, and I just sit here and say, y'all must not have been paying attention to this this North Carolina team. Ain't no way. Now, have they found a way to win every time? Sure. But have they dominated in dominant fashion? Hell no. So I don't even know why you did that. So if you are a money person, you would be smart to take this bet right here with +20, Georgia Tech +21.
Wait, you want to take Georgia Tech +21?
Yes. Do you think that North Carolina is going to score 3 more touchdowns than Georgia Tech?
If Zach Gibson's playing, yeah.
Have you seen this North Carolina defense?
Do you have no faith in Chapel Hill Poppy over there? What are we talking about?
I love Drake May. Love him. I think he is God's gift to football in Chapel Hill. However, I know my defense. I saw them last season. I was supposed to be a believer last year, and they got sucker punched in the mouth by a Georgia Tech team who wants nothing more than to beat this. You know how you just get caught by surprise? I feel like the Notre Dame game for North Carolina was being caught by surprise. This Georgia Tech team, when North Carolina knows they have nothing to play for because they already know they're going to the championship game, rest on that laurel a little bit. I don't know. Do they got that dog in them? It's going to be hard to tell, Drizzy Drake. I don't know.
And also got to stay next week, right?
And you do. So are you trying to rest up? Are you going to play your starters? Okay. All the things.
I typically defer to you when it comes to UNC, even though because you're kind of like me with Florida State. Like I'm the Florida State pessimist. You're the UNC kind of pessimist too.
I'm a realist. I don't like the P word.
Sorry. You're a constructive critic, and you understand the circumstances. You understood the assignment when it comes to covering and talking about your team.
Yes.
Even though I do love Chapel Hill Poppy. I mean, that man is nice as hell. I mean,
Is
Drake
that
May
what
over
y'all
here.
call him?
Well, that's why I literally thought that on the way back actually from work.
Love
Actually, I
it.
was like, I need to think of a way to call Drake May because Drizzy Drake, that's kind of my thing. But like, he can be
Yeah.
Chapel Hill Poppy over
I
there.
think
But yeah,
Chapel Hill Poppy is nice because my boy is killing it.
he's so damn good. And I would do want to apologize for last week because I did say that if you went to a real like bigger blue blood football school, that he actually would be in the Heisman race, which I still kind of believe in a sense. But if you look at his stats compared to more of the other Heisman front runners, whether it be C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, Caleb Williams, he is demonstrably, statistically wise, a better quarterback. And if you took him off this roster for UNC would be probably 3-6 instead of where they are right now, 8-1.
1,000%.
So, and to me, the Heisman is the best player and also the most important player for your team. So,
Yeah.
Drake May for Heisman, that's the real Heisman candidate out there.
Yeah.
And folks, let's not. I disagree with Kansas with the plus 21, minus 21. So let's actually more go to the over. I think over 63 will be definitely something because, as Kansas was saying, UNC's defense, it ain't there, but it's tough and it gets the job done when you actually need it to get done. So let's go with a 43 to a 27 type of game.
Very interesting. Now, I think that ultimately Drake, if you guys seriously are into college football like that, you're like, oh, Ohio State dominate, you like to see the beauty in that, or Alabama, Tennessee, please take the time to watch Drake. Like he is that guy.
He
He
looks
makes it
so
look
good.
so easy. And I'm not even trying to exaggerate because I'm a Carolina girl. Like he is filthy with it, like with the legs, with his arm, he be shooting that. He's like a rocket. So I ain't gonna hold you. All I'm saying is you might as well take the time to celebrate seeing him a couple more times here in the regular season. All right, final game we have in week 12, Syracuse and Wake Forest, who is in desperate need to get it back right. Both teams, really. Like let's can we keep it a buck? Both teams need a pick me up. I cannot believe Wake Forest has had this demise like this. If you had told me this is how Wake Forest is going to end this season, especially because we're like, okay, Wake is starting to be like that team now, starting to puff their chest. They could definitely beat Clemson. They almost beat Clemson this year. And then it's like Clemson broke them a little bit. I don't know. They haven't been the same. They ain't been right. You know how some people say, like, you ain't been right since his mama died? Like, Wake Forest ain't been right since they lost to Clemson.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things too where like I remember I think there was the last time they won a game where I think it was Coach Clausen. Sorry, I was confused. Dave Doran with Dave
Okay.
Clausen. Where Coach Clausen was like saying like, "Oh, we won this game, and hopefully now all the media out there will talk about how our 15-year players are coming out here and all the 35-year-olds." And ever since then, it's basically they haven't done much since, and
Yeah.
it's really puzzling. It feels like they're just not physically defeated, but it's more like a mental
Yes.
block
Thank
the entire thing.
you.
Sam Hartman does not look comfortable out there right now. Like
Yes.
he looks like Sam Hartman from like what 2 or 3 years ago when he was fighting off for starting time with Jamie Newman, because you saw Sam Hartman last year confident slinging the ball around. Even the first few games after he came back from his injury, like he looked confident out there, and just something just turned the switch on after the FSU game where they dominated for the majority of that game. But since then, Louisville, you have 8 turnovers, not knowing how to ball, and then look at Syracuse. I think more with Syracuse, it's like it's not that they're mentally defeated; it's more just they're extremely banged up. Their corners are hurt.
At the worst time. Yeah.
And their schedule is also like extremely brutal. They had to play NC State, then they had to play Clemson, then they had to play Notre Dame, then they had to play Pitt, then they played us, and like there's 2 different teams here. I think Syracuse is the better team overall. They look like the more, I guess, mentally sound team here too. And Syracuse at +10. I know Gary Schrader is still hurt, but he did make a go of it this past week. He didn't look super comfortable, but I'm taking Syracuse at +10 because right now, until Wake Forest shows me a little more fight in them, I'm not going with them at all. Period. It's like that meme, like stand up, that's the stand up video. Like I need
Stand
that for Wake
up.
Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that Sean Tucker is still very much in that backfield for Syracuse. I don't know what he's got going on, but it's very much like, God, I wish he was having a better season because he is like Izzy to me, like very talented, just insanely
Oh, I think he's
gifted.
hurt.
Yeah, same. And his tweets are just like very great. So if you have not followed, for as long as we have Twitter, because the way things are going,
I know. I just saw like, damn it, Elon.
have Twitter for long. Follow us at Locked On ACC while you still can. I think it's a sad sight because they were lucky that they got those 6 easy. That Purdue win came out of nowhere, but man, oh man, both teams desperate for a dub. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
I felt so bad for Dino, man. I'm watching the Syracuse game. I'm texting Dave, my co-host, and Locked on Seminoles. I'm like, it's like we're beating him badly. And I'm like, Dave's like texting me like, I feel bad for Dino, man. He doesn't deserve this right now. I felt
I'm
bad for the man.
saying. And it's like at the end of the day, like, yes, you keep them because they exceeded expectations, but at the same time, you want them to start winning games that are a little more
Mhm.
challenging, right? Like, yeah, you can beat Wagner, cool, but can you stand toe to toe with the Florida State? Not so much. And that's what's the problem. And are we always going to bring it back to the health? Because if that's the case, where's the depth? Where's the next man up?
Mhm.
And that's
Yep.
another problem. And that's a recruiting issue. And it's just like, come on, Dino, I'm rooting for you, dog. You're not helping me. Help
But let's be
me.
fair. But let's be fair though. It's Syracuse football. Like, what exactly is the ceiling for that school?
Fair. Yep.
That's
Preach
another
it.
thing too.
Preach it. Preach it. Preach it. Because I mean, that basketball team ain't doing much better anyway. But we get the snow story for another day.
Neither is
Actually,
ours.
I was gonna say, but you guys sacrificed your basketball team. It's very clear you sacrificed for a top 25 team, and that's fine. You know, you do what you got. You could be Louisville basketball. Let's keep it a buck.
I mean, that's fair. But listen, we are down to 8 scholarship athletes. Majority of them, I would have no big men right now. Really, they should be starting consistent minutes. 5 of them are out for injury. Bob Miller, the NCAA, suspended for 16 games for giving money back that he was given, to go abroad. But hey, I'm not here to poop all over the NCAA. They're not going to be around here for much longer, anyways, too. But
Hello.
Coach Ham, I still believe in you. I love you, and we're going to get through this,
We're
Coach.
gonna get through this. It's a little hard season, a little challenging, but nonetheless, they're gonna make it shake and do what it do. If you guys want to check out some basketball, that'll be more of happening throughout, the last couple weeks here that we have football, and we'll slowly transition and get really in the thick of it. But we'll say the first 10 games, really just letting everything shake out. I'm sure you can want to just talk about Duke, Kansas, but let's keep it a buck. Everybody's gonna be fine. Don't make way too early predictions that aren't really there. Long season. Say all that to say. Drizzy Drake, always a pleasure to have you. Friday is here. We're going to have it a good time. Where can these folks find you? Follow your work.
Well, the pleasure is all mine, Candace. But you can follow me at Tally__Drake. You can follow my co-host Dave at FSU Knowles. The O is a 0, the S is a 5. Don't ask me. And then you can follow the podcast at Knowles Anonymous, basically where we engage with our fans. We have a Discord too as well. We get themes for episodes and a message for a mandatory mailbag Mondays. And as always, we're fans first, people second, content creators third. And please be responsible with the gambling. It's a good time. It's a fun time. But I don't want to hear none about y'all, having an entire paycheck, losing your mortgage. No, we are responsible here. It's always for a good time, don't get too aggressive with it.
1,000%. Guys, come back next week. We'll recap with Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. And more importantly than that, we'll get you right through the week with all of your favorite co-hosts for Candace Cooper and Drizzy Drake. Until next time.